It's Thursday, March 17th, 2011, though in a moment we're going to say it's March 10th because you see, we recorded this episode before PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo East in Boston, and one thing led to another, I never actually put the episode up. So, because we're tired from PAX and because this upcoming weekend is ZenkaiCon and King of Prussia, we're a little busy and we're just totally copping out, didn't do any shows this week, so I'm going to retroactively put this episode up on a brand new date, but it's actually the show we recorded before PAX. I will also say that the Penny Arcade Expo went very, very well. We'll have a review of that coming soon, probably next week. So if you saw us at the con, you thought we were awesome, or you hated us, have no fear. Our review will be up soon, and maybe we'll talk a little more about My Little Pony. I know it was very popular at PAX. Without further ado, I'm going to let the music play, and the episode we recorded somewhat half-assedly will begin. It's Thursday, March 10th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, before we go to PAX, it's Bikke.
Let's do this.
Scott, I got a problem.
All right.
So it's been a while since something like this has happened, but I think about the ponies
Enough with the ponies.
a little bit more often than I think is healthy.
Listen, I know the ponies have infected all brains they have come in contact with. The pony brain virus is an epidemic at this point. However,
I believe you mean the post-PAX.
Sure. We have managed to contain it to a single Geeknights episode. It is quarantined. Let us not let it spread. That is the end of the discussion of anything related to miniature horses in this episode.
Except, you're thinking about them too.
It doesn't matter. We're done. All right. So moving on to something else that is not that, because it must not leave the episode to which it is contained, lest humanity become extinct and grow hooves.
I posit that the only reason we will be able to restrict it is that we're doing another project.
You're still talking about it.
I am.
We're done. So let me go to some news here.
The news that you took forever to find because there's nothing you want to talk about?
Yeah. So a new TED just happened, right? You know, the conference that makes all the awesome videos that
I feel like we should make a parody set of talks, the Todd Talks, and it's just bad ideas.
we could do that.
Yeah. Anyway.
And there was apparently a lot of really awesome stuff shown yet again, as is always, But and I encourage everybody, the TED Talks are really good. And, when you get a chance, watch them when they come out and, look for people to tell you which ones are the good ones worth watching, because some of them are like 15 minutes.
Yep.
A lot of time. The thing is, there are some people out there I've seen are starting to have some negative things to say about TED. And it's like, what could you possibly say negative about TED?
I can say one negative thing. It is somewhat pricey for me to go.
Well, here's the thing, right? Apparently, it doesn't matter how much money you have if you want to go, right? Here's the thing. It's basically, while TED does a lot of good stuff and they spread ideas with free videos and they have the TEDx, which is pretty cool, and that kind of stuff, right? And the fellowships and all these things. The conference itself, the TED, the real TED, the main conference, is pretty much make rich people feel really good about themselves for a couple days.
Think about what it's doing. The rich people pay a lot of money to be involved too.
Well,
right?
Okay, but here's a story I read. I can't find the link again, but somebody, whoever wrote the story was friends with somebody, and that somebody got them into a TED once, right? So that once you're basically on the list, then you can go. So a couple years later, this person, right, wanted to go to TED this year. They wanted to go to 2011. They went previously another year.
All right, so they want to go again, and they should be able to, according to this rule.
So they bought a ticket for a shit ton of money, right, with thousands of dollars, and they got a ticket. But then apparently that person, who I think they said was a former employer, right, it was a huge benefactor of TED. And that former employer pretty much told TED they didn't want that person to go.
What?
So that person didn't go. They just took their ticket away. And they don't have to tell you why.
I don't know. I'm leery of a story that you heard from some guy who heard it from a guy he knows.
No, this story was written by the person who had their ticket taken away. I just can't find the link again, but I swear I am not making this shit up.
I don't know. I'm still slightly dubious. I mean, maybe
I
there's
am
something
also
else.
slightly dubious, but it also doesn't sound that, that I get the feeling that it's like, for also from what people have gone there, to the real TED, is basically what happens at the real TED is as soon, when you're watching the show, the talks, right? Basically, all the famous and rich people are up front, and everyone else is in the peanut gallery in the back.
That's fine. That's how everything is.
Right, so that way the peanut gallery doesn't get on TV, and the rich people are in the videos, right? When they get audience shots, right? But at the same time, basically what happens in between sessions or when they're having dinner or any of those sorts of things
Yeah.
is all the rich and famous people talk on one side of the room, and all the not famous people on the other side of the room.
Is
And
there a rope?
No, but that's the thing is basically everyone has sort of a social problem trying to go across the room.
I'll tell you this. I
'Cause
would not have that problem. I would be right up in Bill Gates' grill being like, hey, man.
And he would basically brush you off big time.
Yeah, I've been brushed off by people before.
But
I can
basically,
deal with that.
You just go across the room, you get brushed off because they don't want to have anything to do with you.
I would start a revolution. We'd all
But
go
that-
over there, be real annoying.
Yeah, but that's what people seem to, So
Here's the reason I'm dubious about that story. Why would someone care if some other person attended a conference to see speeches?
because I guess they were drama people. The kind of people have drama.
I don't understand
Shallow
that kind
people.
of drama. I never have.
No, but we don't understand that drama, but we see it all the time.
Much like Pinkie Pie's tail. We
Right.
see it all the time, but we don't
So,
understand it.
I've never been to TED. I don't know how true this is. For all I know, you go to TED and the rich people are mostly want to talk to the normal people because they talk to rich people anytime they want. Who knows, right? But that's sort of believable, right? You would, and it's.
But at the same time, consider this. All right, so maybe they milk all, they cater to the rich people and they milk all the money out of them. They then take that money and do good stuff with it.
Yeah, TED does plenty of good stuff. It just, it's like, okay, we're going to add a little taste of reality, right? TED isn't all beautiful and perfect like, people seem to get the impression just from watching talks.
It doesn't matter, though, because all that matters is the content of the talks, really, in the end,
Yeah.
for most people. And they're free on the internet.
Yep,
So humanity wins.
yep.
It's kind of, if a Hitler does a good thing for bad reasons, a good thing was still done.
Yep.
If a Hitler does a bad thing for a good reason, a bad thing was still done.
Yeah, I don't know if, how much of this is true or not. It doesn't really matter. The point is new TEDs, they're coming.
Are you sure it was some guy on the internet? Are
Yeah.
you sure it wasn't nothing?
It was some guy on the internet. Definitely.
So that's basically nothing.
yeah.
So, really quickly, this is an article in the LA Times about fevers that children have.
All right.
And apparently there's a problem.
Disco fever?
That would fix everything. So, parents apparently will give children fever reducers when they have a fever as low as 97,
Yeah.
which is, by many definitions, not actually a fever.
There are some people whose just natural body temperature
one of
is
them.
just higher.
My body temperature is almost a full degree above, 96.7 most of the time.
Isn't it supposed to be 98.6?
98. Whatever the number is, it's about a degree above.
96.7 is a radio station.
Yeah. I was thinking about unrelated stuff, but I kind of have a high body temperature. And when I was a kid, a lot of times I'd get my temperature taken at like a nurse's office or a temporary daycare or a kindergarten. They'd be like,
It's like, I'm going to go run around the track. All right, take my temperature. After I just set all of this food on fire.
yep. But they'd always be like, oh, you've got kind of a fever. Maybe we should send you home. I'm like, no, I'm fine. But apparently
I would have said, yeah, sure.
the article's kind of talking about the fact that parents don't actually know what fevers are anymore. And the majority of people really don't realize that if you have a fever and it's not a fever that's high enough to cause, the problems that high fevers cause, like death.
99, I think, is my line. Like, if it's over 99, it's like...
No, but even 100, 101, 102 for short amounts of time, that fever is actually helping your body fight it off. That's your body reacting to the disease.
Well, yeah, so is sneezing and coughing. But,
yes, those things are good. Well, some
you're
of them
still
are
going to
good.
take Mucinex.
It depends on what kind of disease you have.
You're still going to take the halls of medicine.
No, it depends. Like, for example, if I have a sinus infection, I want to take the Mucinex because my sinuses are blocked and bacteria are growing in there. So I need to open it up to get them out.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have 100, 101 fever because I'm sick, that fever is my body fighting off the illness. And if I reduce the fever, I'm reducing my body's effectiveness and increasing the duration of the illness.
Yeah, but usually a fever reducer also has whatever it is you're sick with medicine in it.
No, most fever reducers just treat pain and fever.
Really?
What do you mean, really? So what causes fevers? Mostly colds and flus.
Yeah.
What treats colds and flus?
Medicine, Tylenol.
Tylenol does not in any way help you fight off a cold or flu.
Yeah, it does.
It reduces the symptoms.
It helps you
perhaps.
go to sleep, and then your body will fight it while you're sleeping, and thus, you know,
But basically, just interesting article.
you'll be a lot more comfortable.
And it's just kind of telling that people generally don't know much about, well, I don't know, anything.
We just need a new thermometer that instead of telling you the degrees says fever or not fever. And if you have a fever, it plays Fever from Dr. Mario. And then you play Dr. Mario instead of taking a fever reducer.
Well,
and that way you'll be ignoring your uncomfort.
It also needs to tell
discomfort.
you what kind of fever. Like, is it a normal fever, a dangerous fever, perhaps
Well,
a
there's only 3 kinds. Red, blue,
most dangerous
There's
fever?
only 3 kinds. Red, blue, and yellow.
Things of the day. I was born in Detroit. I'm a Michigander, by blood. That's where I was born. That's my kind of home grounds. I still root for the Red Wings. I still root for the Pistons. I still pray for the Lions.
Tigers.
But Detroit, it's not looking so good. Detroit has had some trouble for, I don't know, the last 30, 40 years. And
1,000.
one of the most important things about Detroit is its statues. I mean, we have the Spirit of Detroit, which is this beautiful statue of, it's kind of like the Statue of Liberty, but it's the Spirit of Detroit.
It's not that big.
It's pretty big, actually.
Not a Statue of Liberty big.
No, but it's pretty big. And when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, I shouldn't say we because I did not win the Stanley Cup. When the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup in 96, someone made a gigantic jersey for the Red Wings and somehow put it on that statue.
Well, they also put Tigers jerseys on there, too.
Yeah. But we also have my favorite statue in all the world, Joe Louis's fist. It's just a giant fist hanging down in front of the Joe Louis Arena. We've got statues, but there's one statue Detroit doesn't have, and I've talked about this, that RoboCop, people want to make a RoboCop statue in Detroit. There's a big project to get the money together to do it. Peter Weller has stepped forward and made a pretty fucking awesome video advocating for the RoboCop statue. Peter Weller, if you don't know, played RoboCop.
Yep.
He is to RoboCop what John St. John is to Duke Nukem.
Yep.
So I recommend you watch this, and I donated some money. Please donate a tiny amount of money, a couple of bucks, to make the life-size, realistic RoboCop statue in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a cool nerd internet thing, even though it is kind of a kick in the nuts to people who are living in Detroit. I don't know, it's 2 ways. Like, if you live there, or if I still live there, on one hand, you could see the statue of RoboCop as being a very cynical, like, yeah, the city sucks idea. You could also see it for what it is, as kind of a funny joke, like, we do need to deal with this crime problem, and if only we had RoboCop. Like, you could take the good humor in it.
Maybe one day, like, Detroit will revive and there'll be this RoboCop statue. Or maybe one day Detroit will completely disintegrate and it'll just be a RoboCop statue all alone.
Look ye mighty upon my works.
And then Joe Louis will punch it. Bam!
I think the most likely scenario is that the RoboCop statue will be stolen.
Defaced? No, you know what? It'll be wearing a Red Wings jersey.
So what do you got for me?
You ever look out a window before?
On occasion.
What do you see out the window?
Right now, I see Manhattan.
So this means that there are photons coming from Manhattan.
Yep.
And they're coming all the way to your house across the air. And they're going through the air. And when they get to your window, they're actually going through the glass.
Yep.
That means there is sort of a particle/wave, a photon. And it goes through something into your eyeball.
But, I mean, that's not that strange. I mean, cosmic rays go through the Earth all the time.
Right, of course.
They go through Earth. They go through metal, not just glass.
Right, but, so glass is a solid object.
So is metal.
Right, but a piece of metal, photons don't go through it.
All right, but why do cosmic rays go through metal?
That's a very good question, and the answer to both these questions is probably the same answer. And if you want to know this answer, this video gives a very good scientific explanation of exactly why glass is transparent And it shows you experiments. It shows you pretty much everything you need to know for even a layperson who has knowledge of. If you understand atoms, electrons, protons, and neutrons, then you can understand why things are transparent or translucent. And
I wonder.
It is quite fascinating, actually.
I wonder, kind of an aside.
And sort of obvious. I probably should have been able to figure it out, but I didn't.
Not to
Until he
sound
told me.
cynical. Maybe I'm just feeling cynical because I'm really, really tired. But how many people, like what percentage of people in the U.S. do you think actually have a reasonable understanding of the classical notions of electrons and atoms? Like what percent do you think?
High estimate, 35%.
I think that's about right.
High. That's conservatively high. If I had to lowball it, I'd say like 25.
So this episode was to get to the meta moment recorded in advance because we are at this moment on our way to the Penny Arcade Expo in Boston. Bitch PAX.
Oh, shit.
Well, PAX East, PAX Boston. I'll apologize one last time because I'm the one who accidentally caused it to be called Bitch PAX. Remember my question? I probably should have never asked that question.
That is, it's all on you.
Yeah, it's all me. That's my fault. You can blame me. But as a result, we had to get some shows done ahead of time. So we are at the Penny Arcade Expo. If you are listening to this, hopefully you are on your way and not at home being sad. If you're at home being sad, just watch some My Little Pony. You'll feel better.
Enough with the ponies.
No.
Get the ponies out of the show.
No.
Yes. Yeah, any other meta things? The book club book is
Michio Kaku's Hyperspace, which Scott has not yet read. We're doing 3 panels at PAX, game mechanics and mechanism design, how to win a games, and the triple threat, short subjects in gaming.
And the other conventions are
Zenkai Con is next weekend in King of Prussia in Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. Friday, March 18th, 19th, and 20th. We will be doing panels the 19th and the 20th. We will not be there Fridays. Don't come looking for us.
We're doing a panel on the 20th?
Yeah, 1 panel, then we're going home.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were doing one. Okay.
We're doing 1. We're doing Beyond Dungeons and Dragons, the remake.
Exciting.
Yeah. We are also going to be at Anime Boston. We'll also be at the MoCA. We're doing panels at Anime Boston. We were just walking around and looking around at the MoCA. And I'm talking really fast to try to counter the slow version of the meta moment that Scott usually does. Okay.
Except for the time I went.
So BK.
Yeah, so BK is this pirate dude, and after you beat what's
9
his name?
pirates.
9 pirates. And what's the town?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I
either.
really don't remember. It starts with a P. Provoca.
So after you go to provoke Rim and his 9 pirates,
So-
BK comes out of the booth.
I can't believe we've never done a throwaway show on fucking bikes.
I thought, we must have, because biking is pretty much our #1 athletic activity.
Well,
here.
it's the #1 athletic activity that is shared between me and Scott because I run and ski and play tennis and rock climb and Scott bikes.
Yeah.
Well, no. You play FPSs and DDR. Those are sports.
Jungle Speed.
Athletics. Jungle Speed should be an Olympic event.
I mean, look, if the biathlon can be in the Olympics, Jungle Speed can be in the Olympics.
One thing that amazes me, we'll get right into it. We're talking about bikes. I feel like most of the people I've known in my entire life who have ridden bikes or not ridden bikes have no idea how bikes actually work or how to ride them properly.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, like when I was kids, it was pretty much you biked around the neighborhood. That's what kids did.
Yeah, but you biked around on a 10-speed.
Yeah, well, I mean, not at first. I mean, not when I was way little, but as soon as I could fit on one, right? 24-inch or whatever.
Yep.
And then even though it was usually like a Huffy or whatever, because your parents aren't going to buy you something nice unless you're actually into biking. But it didn't matter. You can go around the neighborhood in a Huffy, no problem. Didn't make, and the thing is, everybody knew how to ride a bike because we all did it every day to go to each other's houses in the neighborhood. Some kids even rode their bikes to school. It's just something everyone knew. But now it's sort of weird that I'm an adult and there's a lot of people that I know who don't know how to ride a bike. And it's like, what?
Yeah,
It's like every kid in my whole town knew how to ride a bike. So what town are you from?
Yeah, we won't name any names, but I could name a lot of people that I know and people I've met who didn't realize how to brake, for example. People don't realize that you're only supposed to use your front brake 99% of the time. The rear brake is really only there to slow down around turns. Maybe if you're going downhill, like a very steep downhill,
and you don't want to flip over the handlebar.
Yep.
If the front brake isn't enough, you can.
Yep. You use it to augment the front brake. You use it to control speed. Like the rear brake, you'll touch to slow down a little bit if you need to. But if you actually need to stop, you pretty much need to slam the front brake.
Well, I mean, especially if you go, because it's like all the weight of you sitting on the bike is going to be on that front tire. So if you, it's friction against the ground is how much force is being pushed down on the ground, and then depending on the material of the pavement under you or whatever it is, and the tire, right? That is what determines your stopping power. So if your weight is on the front tire and there's not a lot of weight on the rear tire, there won't be a lot of friction on the rear tire. So
never mind
hitting the brakes on it isn't going to slow you down all that much.
Never mind the lever action of the bike that as you brake, you lean forward, pulling weight off the rear tire.
Yeah.
That's why if you can lock your rear brake, but you can't lock your front brake without flipping over the handlebars.
Yep.
But the rear, and that's the other thing. I see a lot of people just holding down the rear brake and just skidding to a stop, ruining their tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, an optimal brake in a bike is if you really need to stop in time, your rear wheel should actually lift up off the ground about an inch.
Yeah.
That means that you have broken optimally.
Yeah. The other thing is that, cars have anti-lock brakes, right? And people, I think, have been, anti-lock brakes have actually been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, because even in cars, right, you basically you just slam on the brakes these days. And that's what you should do in a car with anti-lock brakes. It's pretty much just slam on them if you need to, right? But in the olden days, before they had anti-lock brakes, people actually had to learn how to brake properly, where if the tire is locked up, you let go of the brake because you want you want them basically to roll, but you want them to roll more slowly to stop. If you just lock the tires up, then suddenly you can't control the turning of the car at all. You're completely out of control. It's just whatever, momentum you have and, the friction of the tires against the road, that's pretty much all you got.
But bikes, people just you got to pulse them just like you used to in old cars.
The tires shouldn't stop rotating until you're actually stopped.
I use a kind of pattern when I need to stop where I slam on the front brake and then I pulse it alternatingly with the rear brake as I slow down, like bit.
I tend to go and I hold it down as hard as I need to hold it down. And if it's, I can tell if it's about to lock up soon, and I let go and then I go on it again.
Yep.
Like, chicka.
The other thing I see
so
is
I'm always trying to get the maximum braking power out of it without a lockup.
People don't seem to realize, too, that if your brakes get wet, you need to, tap them a little bit to clean them off so they'll be ready to go. Like if you go through a puddle or some mud,
yeah, exactly.
You gotta hold them down just a little bit to warm them up and get all the water off.
Well, unless you have, what's
disc
it called?
brakes.
Disc brakes.
I actually didn't get disc brakes on my fancy bike.
Me either.
I could have, but they're really only useful for mountain biking.
Yeah.
I've decided they're not really useful for even pretty advanced street biking.
Yeah, it's like you don't see, who do you see using actual disc brakes for any actual... I always try to look at the professional biking people, not because
Mountain bikers.
Not because I'm ever going to be them, but just to see what equipment they're using.
Professional mountain bikers.
Because that's how you can tell between what's a gimmick thing, right? That's just something they're trying to sell you at the bike shop, and what's actually legitimately going to help you.
Well, the disc brakes won't let you stop faster necessarily on smooth ground.
All I'm saying, Lance Armstrong doesn't have disc brakes.
No.
He has the brakes they're much fancier than the brakes that I've got, but they're the same basic mechanism.
But the difference is the main advantage of these brakes, and if I ever get a better mountain bike, I'll get disc brakes on it, is that if you go through a whole bunch of mud, their effectiveness is basically not diminished.
Nope.
Unless, and also,
mud could, I guess, theoretically get
in
there, but that's not like...
More importantly, if your frame gets, if the bike tires themselves get deformed, it won't hurt the braking ability either.
Mm-hmm.
And they disperse heat better. So say you need to, like mountain biking, a big thing you need to do is brake almost the whole time you're going down the hill.
Well, downhill, yeah.
Yeah, downhill
but
mountain
there's also
biking.
the uphill component.
Yeah, but downhill mountain biking, you need to use the brakes a lot. And if you've ever been in a car and you're using the brake to slow your car down a hill, one, you're ruining your brakes. Two, you're probably not going to be able to stop for a good mile or two after you get to the bottom of the hill. Bikes are the same way.
Yeah.
If you hold
if your
down
brakes
your rear
are too hot, they're made of rubber. They'll melt and they'll get all liquidy, and they won't be any good at stopping.
Yep. People also don't know how to shift. They don't use their gears effectively.
Well, I think people don't even, because, that's another thing. In cars, people don't have manual transmissions anymore. They have automatic transmissions since forever.
Never mind having two different clutches, like two different sets of gears.
Right. So, people don't even know how to, the concept of gears isn't even something that they take into account in their everyday life because they don't, have it in their cars. So when it comes to bikes, only actual people who know and care about biking know how to use brakes. I can't tell you how many times I'll be going over the bridge, which is the time when you're going to probably, even if you don't care about gear shifting or efficiency, that's the time to, shift gears going over the big hill. And you see people going over and the biggest gear and they just push really hard, or they'll just get off, or they'll be using some useless gear that's way too low, and they'll just be going as slow as molasses on a cold day.
Yep.
And they'll be pedaling like crazy. And it's what are you doing? I'm like, dude, shift up. Come on.
Yep. Even worse, you couple that with the push.
Oh, the push.
Push is, most people when they ride bikes, they don't realize it's a continuous motion, and they tend to just go push, 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 like they're stepping on the front of each pedal as it comes around the top.
Yeah, the bike pedal, right? The gears are circles. They're not ovals, right? So you need to, when you're pedaling, you want to be pushing and or pulling up with the other foot. That's why people get the toe clips to make
I'm getting some toe clips in the spring.
To make it easier to pull up. I'm not a big fan of the clips just because it's hard to take your foot on and off the pedal.
Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get I'll get the clips.
You get the shoes that clip on?
I'm going to get both. I'm going to get the clips for when I'm just like, if I want to take my bike like to the store, I can just use the clips. Or but
then you got to
clips.
keep switching the clips with the foot things.
Yeah, I'm only going to use the boots if I'm going on like I'm going to Beacon or something.
They sell the shoes on Zappos actually.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
But anyway, it's like that makes it easier to pull up on the other pedal. So this is what you want to have ideally, equal force rotating in a perfect circle at all times, right? So the gear should be spinning at sort of a constant RPM.
So
if you go push one side then push the other side, it's basically RPM stop, rotate stop.
It's also really
that's
hard
an oval.
on your bike.
Yeah, it's an oval shape, not a circle shape.
So Scott, you're probably not aware
cycling.
This was a trend in the 90s, I think, and I don't know if it ever continued.
To make bikes with oval gears?
Yeah, every now and then
it's
you'll
possible.
See, every now and then
I don't know how
you'd
you'd shift an elliptical gear.
Oh, they work just fine.
You could shift the rear
Scott,
gear.
you're not even letting me finish. They made these bikes. They were a gimmick for rich people, and basically they took advantage of the fact that most people push, and it was an elliptical gear that would basically use the extra force to round everything out. So when your push happened was when you had more total torque. So as a result, you could actually, it worked really well if you were a pusher. But they were a little overly complex, and they were not easily rideable by people who know how to bike properly. And people who buy a $10,000
and anyone who goes to the store and is looking at a bunch of bikes, and one of them has these weird oval gears, I don't think those are going to sell too well.
I think they would, but the people who are going to spend $10,000 on a bike are people who already know how to bike.
Yeah.
Already care about biking.
Especially if they're more expensive, then they're really not going to sell.
I don't know. I like biking. We can stop ranting about people not knowing how to ride bikes.
You sure you don't want to rant about it some more?
I
got to at least rant about the fact that in New York City, right, as there's a lot of people who are like biketivists, right? They're like big activists for biking. They're like, share the road and, hey, people in cars, look out for the bikes. Don't hit us with your cars, you assholes.
And I'm 100% for that.
Yeah, I am also 100% for that. Bike lanes, sure, bring us some bike lanes, Don't hit don't, give bikes the proper right of way and leeway and all the things you need to give them, sure. But the fact is this, when last year I rode my bike to work, all the days it was warm, and after I get back from PAX, it'll probably be warm again and I'll probably resume. Most of the people I saw being assholes and not doing what they should be doing are the people on the bikes.
Yep.
I rarely saw cars. The cars really didn't want to hit the people on the bikes if they saw them. Right?
I've been hit by more bicyclists than I have by any other thing in New York.
But in terms of, people on bikes, I have seen tons of assholery. Pretty much no one obeys red lights or stop signs or anything unless they definitely have to and there's a car coming.
The other day, a delivery guy just slammed into me. I was walking and he just hit me.
Yeah, sometimes... even if they do respect the red light, instead of stopping, they'll sort of bike in a circle because they don't want to stop moving. So they'll sort of circle around a bit until the green light comes, and then they'll go, instead of just stopping and putting their foot on the ground. Is their bike too high for them to put their foot on the ground? They can't stop? I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of them will drive the stupid bikes without brakes. I think I've complained about that on the show before.
Yep. A lot of the people who circle, if you look, they're almost always fixies.
Yeah, it's true also.
Because it's hard for them to get going again because you know what? Fixies suck.
They do.
There's no reason to use a fixie in the modern world. They're not that much more reliable.
No, it's not. I don't think it's about reliability. I think for some people it's about style.
No, they always argue it is, though. They always argue that, hey, my fixie never breaks.
My bike didn't break either.
Yeah.
But, I've never actually argued with anyone who has a fixie, but I think they do it for style or they just don't care or don't know. It's just they just go and they buy a bike and that's, they don't care about... people don't care about the under the hood stuff. It's like the same reason you'd buy an Apple computer as opposed to, it's you look at the outside of it. They don't look at the inside, and the gearing and the, that stuff is inside secret, sciencey stuff. They're looking at the color of the paint job and whether there's a basket in the front.
One thing I can say, though, is that biking has pretty much been the sport that I have engaged in and the athleticism I have done more than anything else in my entire life. I've been biking for pretty much as long as I've been able to bike. I've
Yeah.
had like a litany of just mountain bikes and road bikes and everything.
I mean, it might have been swimming, but I pretty much stopped swimming once I left, my
oh,
parents got rid of the
in high
pool.
school, that was when it really peaked. Like every single day, I just get on my bike and ride off. I'd ride like 50, 60 miles just wherever.
Yeah.
Like I'd go down to Detroit and back. I'd go out to the lakes, and a couple of times I'd bike out, and it'd be like 11 o'clock on like a Wednesday, and I'd realize that I'm a couple hours from home.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was like biking and swimming. With biking was ahead a bit, but then eventually, I had another bike was stolen, and then it was just like, all right, and I never got a new one until RIT. But then I stopped swimming when I went to college. So, it's like it was biking and then swimming took the lead and then biking again. And I haven't swimmed again. So, yeah.
Well, I started actually, like, when I lived in the mountains, biking was nothing other than a hobby. It was nothing but a way to have fun on a bike and exercise,
Yeah,
whatever.
but once you're in the city, it can actually become legitimate transportation.
Actually, in
again.
Beacon, it was legitimate transportation. I mean, I'd go to the farmer's market. I'd go to the train station.
Yeah. But, you couldn't really, it's not like the city where you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can bike anywhere in the city almost faster than the subway will get me there in many cases.
Yeah, I can get to work, and the thing is, it depends, right? Because, can I go faster than the subway? No, not really. But considering the fact that I can leave my house directly, take a shorter path than the subway, and I won't have to wait for the train to show up, it sort of evens out depending on where you're going, especially if you're going somewhere that's a little bit far away from a station.
Yep.
Because you can definitely make up for that walking time easily. And you can take all sorts of paths that, you would normally not be
I do
able
have
to
the
go.
advantage that, my work is Grand Central, so I
Yeah.
basically just bike. It's like right there.
Yeah, mine is cross town a bit.
I mean, I can rollerblade to work efficiently if I want to.
Yep.
Of course, my building's being stupid, and they won't let me bring my bike in.
Yeah, my building.
They found a loophole in the law, and they're just being dicks about it.
Well, can't they let you in at the correct hours?
Yeah, at the correct hours, which they made sure were basically the hours start after I get to work and end before I leave work.
Yep.
And they're like, if you have to stay late, well, you can't bring your bike down the passenger
Well, mine
elevators.
is the same way, except the hours are an hour before I get to work and an hour, it ends at 6.
Yeah, my hours are basically useless.
So if I'm the thing is, if I stay there at 6, I have to go get on the subway to go home.
Yep. What I might do is, because I got my fancy road bike, which is, as much as I am into biking, it is way more aggressively geared than I am capable of taking advantage of. That's one of the reasons why I need the toe clips, because I can't take advantage of the bike as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even use the highest gears. I'm not strong enough.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. It's kind of amazing, but I love this bike.
I've never been on a bike where I couldn't pedal every gear in the right situation.
Yeah, you should try
Obviously,
ride-
I can't use the highest gear from a standstill on an uphill. But I've never been on a bike where, I couldn't use the highest gear going down a
You
hill.
should try riding my bike. I got all those tiny, tiny little gears.
What is it, like the size of a dime? Like what?
And they're pretty. The smallest one is like that.
I could if I'm going downhill on the bridge, I could use it.
Going downhill on the bridge, I was 2 gears away from that, and I was basically pedaling at my maximal capacity.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't push that other gear anymore,
Uh-huh.
unless I pushed.
You don't want to do that.
But I think what I'm going to do is I got that old mountain bike, that like 15-year-old mountain bike that I got back.
That was stolen and
That was
recovered.
stolen. I little Mac'd it.
Yep.
And basically, I think I'm going to fix it up. And it's not the greatest bike anymore. Like, I would not take it for real mountain biking because I think the suspension would just break.
I think you'd probably get hurt.
But I think what I'll do is I can ride it to work and park it outside.
Mm.
And if someone steals it in the city, all right.
You can pay to get a bike locker in Grand Central. I think this place is.
I'll have to look. But the thing is, this bike is 15 years old. And it was already stolen. I had already given up on having that bike. The fact that I have it was just happenstance. So if it gets stolen again, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, but the thing is, all right, so you do that, it'll get stolen immediately, and then...
I don't think it will. It looks pretty shitty at this point.
It does.
It is a way busted
how
old
often
bike.
do people have, the delivery guys get their bikes stolen?
I don't think they do that often. I think people steal the nice bikes.
Yeah. Speaking of, bike thievery, right? Like, in the city, bike locks become, a big issue. It's like, do you go with the big, crazy chain situation?
Well, as I've learned, big crazy chain is about a 5-minute hacksaw job.
Right, but the other thing with the big, crazy chain is that it's so heavy, right? You got to carry that if you're going to use it.
I got a really nice, just kind of normal key lock with the cable and then the metal inside the cable.
Yeah, I got one of those U things that has some sort of insurance and such like that. And it's like you got to make sure though that you put it through all the tires and all that. And there's some people like they take their seats with them.
I would do that on my old bike because remember, my new bike, like the seat is just the default seat. It's a generic seat. On my mountain bike, the seat that jackass who stole my bike cut up to try to disguise it, that was like a $180 bike seat.
Oh, wow.
That was a really fancy, like ergonomic seat that I really liked.
So it's like you got to take the front tire off, then you got to put the lock through both tires and the frame, and then you got to remove.
You don't need to take the front tire off if you have a long enough chain to go through all the bits.
Yeah, if you're doing the chain mode, but if you're doing the U mode.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the U.
Yeah. Actually, there's one guy, right? He, if you have like a really crappy bike, what you could do is they make these tiny U's, like it's like the tiniest U. You can put it in your pocket. So it's like, and what you can do is they also have these other things that are basically these wheel locks. So the way they work is, how when you want to quick take off your wheels, there's a little thing, the lever. You pull the lever and you spin the screw and you take your wheel off.
Yep. Emily's old bike doesn't have that. I was gonna change her tire the other day.
It doesn't have the quick release.
I reached down. I'm like, what the fuck? Then I look and it's just a bolt. And I'm like, God damn it. I had to go get like a wrench.
Old style.
Yeah.
But what they have is you can actually replace the quick release mechanism with this locking quick release mechanism.
Ah.
And I don't know how well it works, but supposedly the way this thing works is that you can it looks like a normal quick release. You don't notice anything, but it actually won't quick release at all unless you turn the bike upside down.
Huh.
So no one can, it basically prevents your tires from being removed if the bike is right side up. So if you trust in that system, then you can use the tiniest U-lock and just lock the frame to something like a bar or anything, right? Just get the frame on something. Don't worry about the tires. Take the seat with you. And I think they even have one for the seat quick release also.
Huh.
Right? So if you get all three quick releases, the seat and the two tires with this thing, and you lock your bike to something with a tiny U-lock right side up, then you can just carry around the tiniest lock, and if you trust it, then and it works, then you're in business, right? Without having to carry anything big and or heavy.
Yep. I'm looking though because
no one can turn the bike upside down to take the things off.
What I might
they can't bust the tiny U.
It looks like for homeowners insurance, I can add on basically bike insurance.
My homeowners already covers the bicycle, or like if I get a camera stolen on the subway, or so it covers all that.
Yeah, because my bike is I got a really nice bike.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get like the really nice bike.
I got basically the highest end of the, like, I'm one step under where you start replacing like the front fork with carbon fiber.
Yeah,
I didn't get
that's really nice. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm one step below that.
Yeah.
I'm like prosumer.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to go somewhere and like try out some of the actual street kind of bikes.
The racing bikes, they're not comfortable. I don't enjoy them.
Yeah, but it's like I've never actually ridden one for any extended
Scott,
period
if you want to
of
go
time.
long distances and you want to upgrade your bike, get mine.
Yeah.
My bike is comfortable like yours,
It's
but
not
it's fast.
significantly different.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah.
Scott, one, you have much wider tires than me and much bigger rims, like wider rims.
That doesn't make that much of a difference.
Actually, it makes a huge difference for long-term speed and energy efficiency. If you're going a long distance, your tires are way too wide.
Yeah, but if I go get a street bike, the tires give me way even thinner than yours. Yours aren't that thin.
Yeah, because mine's a hybrid. It's between the two.
Uh-huh. I can go. See, the thing is,
My gears are different. My like the seat arrangement's a little different.
I'll go and I'm gonna go test out those kind of bikes, and if I can deal with it, in maybe a year or two, I will go when this bike is sort of done.
Honestly, Scott, really, those street bikes, like street racing bikes, are only worth it if you're going to race or if you are planning to I'm gonna bike up to Albany this weekend.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, if you go down that road, yeah, you definitely want a street bike. But I'm just saying, unless you're doing that, you pretty much just want to get a better hybrid instead.
The thing is, I see most of the people in the city, right? They're all like the popular thing these days are like these like Euro fixies that everyone drives. Like,
Whatever.
It's like I always complain about the people with the track bikes, but actually the most popular bike are like these hipster. They get like these Bianchi frames with like it's like, oh really? It's just like everyone freaking rides these things. I don't understand them. But meanwhile, the delivery guys, right? What do they ride? They ride basically like mountain bikes from Toys R Us.
Yeah.
That are all beat up in a mishmash of random pieces.
Well, I'll admit I like my bike because for riding in the city, it's way faster than a mountain bike. But I miss having the tank capabilities of a mountain bike. I miss the fact that on my mountain bike, I could just ram into the curb if I wanted to with no effect. Just suddenly be on the sidewalk, run over, anything I run over doesn't even faze me.
Yeah.
With this bike, a pothole.
You hit a bump, you're like, ah.
Yeah, a pothole on my bike is a big fucking deal.
Yeah. I kind of actually, after watching the videos of that downhill urban biking, You know,
You want to do that kind of biking?
if I wasn't gonna die.
We could rent mountain bikes and go out and do it.
Yeah, where are we gonna find a place that's like that?
There's a ton of mountain biking trails
No,
up by Bear
I'm not
Mountain.
talking about a city on a hill.
Scott, just downhill. There's downhill courses in the woods that are the same
No, but
basic
that's not. It's
thing.
in the woods. I want to do it in the city with the stairs and the street and the
Do you know? Have you ever done anything like that?
No,
Have you ever done like stunt biking, jumping, anything? You would die.
I know that's
You would
why
die.
I got to do like a little one first.
You got to at least ride on bikes with suspensions first to get used to that shit.
I had a bike with a suspension, but it was only the front
Yeah,
suspension.
you need a mountain bike full body suspension is way different. Like some of the bikes I've tried, I didn't buy them because they cost more than my car. You could basically jump out that window right there on the bike, land on the ground, and be fine.
Well, we see guys do that on video on YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you land tires first.
Yeah, you gotta
right?
land tires first,
You-
not head first.
you know, whether what part of the bike hits the ground first is up to your skill, and in the bike, it doesn't matter what bike you're using, you're not going to be saved.
I do enjoy mountain biking, and it's one of the few hobbies that I love that I just stopped doing. And I think this summer I got to go up to like Hunter Mountain or something, just go mountain biking.
Man,
again.
you know what I like? Tricycles. Tricycles are the shit. You get your little red wagon.
I
you
prefer
pull it around.
bicycles.
You pull it around, your little red wagon with your stuffed animals in it.
Monocycles.
Yeah, the monocycle was really popular at RIT, but I haven't really.
Well, because the juggling club was really big with the unicycle club. I think they were eventually the same club.
I don't know.
There was always those guys who
There's
would
a
take
lot of
unicycles.
crossover.
I saw a guy taking a unicycle over the bridge the other day.
Really?
Yeah, when I was rollerblading.
I haven't seen that many unicycles in the city.
Because they're not fast. They're not practical for long distances.
I see a lot. What I do see is I see a lot of delivery guys of like the battery-powered bicycles, but they're not like fancy. They're like the ghettoest battery-powered bike you'll ever see.
Actually, my stepdad, he was really good at unicycles. He had a
Really?
whole bunch. Like little one, big one. He had one that was like 10 feet tall.
What? How could you even get on it?
Basically, you
ladder?
you run with it like it's a pole vault. You plant the tires sideways like it's a pole vault.
Oh, so because the tire, the thing the tire's on, you can bring it down and grab the seat because it swings all the way. Yeah.
Well, the tire's at the bottom. There's a long pole. There's a seat at the top, and there's a long chain thing, and that like connects to the pedals, which are way at the top. So he pole vaults up and then jumps onto the seat and then starts going, or falls over.
Oh, so you don't just grab so the seat. You don't bring the seat down to where you are.
No.
Oh, okay.
You pole vault up, and then
I
you start going.
I thought you would bring the seat down to where you are, sort of put it near the front of you, run, and as you're running, sort of put it under your butt and swing up there like that.
Scott, try to picture what that would look like. You basically are taking a pole vault, putting the nub of it in your junk, and running full speed and planting it.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea.
You're more like jumping up, 10 feet while holding on to it.
God, can you jump 10 feet?
Nope.
I like recumbent bikes, but I'd have no practical use for one.
Yeah, it's like, I like the idea of it. I'm sure I guarantee it's really comfortable.
If I was ever going to go bicycle touring, I would definitely rent one of those.
But the problem with it is you got to have the stupid flags so you get seen and not killed.
Well, they're not, you don't use those for like normal riding. You use those for like, I'm going to bike to PAX. I'm
Sure.
leaving now.
So you bike to PAX and you're on some road, but people still need to see you because you're way down on the ground.
Yeah.
So
Lights and flags.
You got to have big lights and flags, and it's pretty dorky.
Dorkiness is not something I care about as a biker.
Dorky is pretty significant. It's high dorkiness level.
One thing I got now that I never needed my entire life until I was in the city was the rear light.
Yeah.
I always had the front light because I'd bike through the woods at night, like, middle of the night in the middle of the woods. Without a light, that's basically death waiting to happen.
Well, there's two kinds of lights. There's see and be seen.
Yep,
right?
and I basically in the city, I don't need to see. No matter how dark
Well,
it is.
there's some places where the street lights are a little blah, so you do need to
where
see a
the
little
light
bit.
from the clouds from Manhattan is enough in most
No,
of the
there's like a
city.
couple streets I go down on the way home sometimes that have heavy tree cover.
Oh, in Queens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
So
see
it's
that.
like right. There's one place right next to a school where if you go there at night, it's only like half a block, but it is dark half a block because there are trees there, and you can't see anything because the trees completely cover the street.
But I only need the lights now in the city. They're the Annoyatrons. They're the please don't hit me with your car, you jackasses.
Yep. You also got to have reflectors on some part of you because
Yeah, well, every bike comes with reflectors.
No, I mean like like on your bag or on
No,
your
I don't do any of
hat
that.
or something like that.
I got the two Annoyatrons
I
front
got
and back.
because my Timbuk 2 bag has reflectors built in.
Oh yeah, I guess mine does too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I got reflectors all over the bike. I got a rear reflector and the Annoyatron. And that Annoyatron, let me tell you, is really fucking annoying. I got a really good one. It blinks in this double irregular pattern of white, like this white flash and a whole bunch of red going like bitta, 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 bitta. And
Yeah.
it's way bright. Like it hurts to look at.
I just got a pretty cheap one. It's still good, but it came in a set with also a little bike computer. It's fun.
Yeah, I got to get a bike computer.
You know what? Just use your phone.
Yeah, well, my phone's GPS, if I leave it too long, will occasionally start jumping. It'll be like,
Well, you're going to have a different phone soon.
yeah, it's like, oh, he
And then
was...
what you do is you get a mount for your phone on your bike.
Like one day I biked around Central Park. Like I went over the bridge, I did a whole lap around Central Park, and then I went like downtown and back home. And I knew how far I went. I looked at it was like, you went 88 miles. And I'm like, huh, I went 88 miles, eh? So I look at the map. And
Wow,
according,
88 miles an hour. You can go back in time.
according to the map, I went halfway to Central Park. Then I teleported to the Hudson, biked around there for a while, came back to Central Park.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, Palm.
Win.
Of course, now they're selling that watch.
What the hell watch?
The HP Metal.
Okay.
It's some gimmick that links your pre to your laptop, to your computer, to the cloud. I don't know. I haven't even read the thing on it yet.
Well,
We'll see. We'll see.
all right.
So do you want, like, seriously, do you want to go mountain biking at some point this summer?
Not really.
Because we did. Remember that one time when we lived in Beacon? We got in my car, we parked in that condo parking lot, and then we went to Red Oaks Mill with all the ticks and went mountain biking.
Yeah, that was not so exciting.
Really? I thought it was really fun.
Yeah,
When we got to that gorge. And we
yeah,
were
like when
doing
you ran over my bike with your car.
Yeah. That was actually pretty funny. I forgot about that until just now. We're like, are we all set? Is everything mounted? We're both like, yeah. We get in the car and we back up and I'm like, what's that noise? We get out and your bike, we just never put it on the car. I just
Yeah.
ran over it.
Well, no, it was a tire was just left on the.
Yeah. It caught my muffler too, which fell off later, unrelatedly.
Yeah. Anyway,
It sounds like
that
you've
bike
been-
is gone.
Yeah.
It exploded.
the other bike I used, I still got it. It's downstairs.
Well, that bike, it served me well at RIT.
Yeah, and then it filled with water and exploded.
Yeah. Well,
Poor
yeah.
bike.
Oh well.
I think we're petering out. It's late. We're tired. We may or may not have recorded a lot of other unrelated things today.
Uh-huh.
Day. Actually, it is night now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recorded this a while ago and we needed a throwaway episode. So, bikes.
Yep.
Bikes.
Yep.
Bikes. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.